Hello and welcome, children of the Most High. I am your host, Soul 7, or also known as Shannon. And today we have Roxy, my co host with the Roxy Files. And today we're going to talk more about the fun stuff of programming. Yay! So,
Mhm.
I would like to introduce Roxy and let her say hi and all that.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. We're not going to say the other word, Shannon.
No, no. We can, well, Roxy continues to have interesting encounters with Grok,
Not intentionally.
not intentionally.
We were in studio prepping for the show, and Shannon and I, as usual, when we greet each other, we say hello in the other word. We're not going to say it now. And all of a sudden, a Chrome browser opened to drop, and he began to just like type the craziest, most random things and told us that that was his trigger word. We're
Yep,
not saying that anymore.
yep.
So I screen shared so Shannon could see it, so at least I wouldn't think I was the only one crazy.
Right. So, what what are we talking about today? I know we were supposed to have Daniel on today, but Daniel's not feeling the best, so we're giving him some time off and he will be here on Thursday of next week and we'll talk about the natural man law. So this time we're going to, as I mentioned, continue on the conversation we started last week. I mean, technically, we started this many weeks ago as it's all coming connected with just everything. It's a big old spider web, as you all are aware. And so Roxy has found some very interesting information. There's a website called the Information Act, right? I can't.
Hang on, I'll show you.
Freedom of
Yes, the
Information Act,
Freedom of Information Act.
which I'm sure you've heard of it.
To, if you go to this wonderful three-letter agency's main page, when you come here, this is what it looks like. There's all kind of things on here. If you go to library, you come down to the very bottom, the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act reading room. And from here, you can type in any word, any phrase, and when you type it in and hit search, it will bring up a list of documents that normally goes on and on and on. As you can see, there's many, many pages down here. You can read a synopsis of what it is. If you want to read it, you can click on it. If you look right here, it tells you, see where it says collection? These are normally the names of particular operations. If you click on Stargate, it would then give you every document related to it. Once you click on any document, it will open it. You can download it or print it. Just saying. Tonight's lesson.
I, I suggest going old school and printing it. That's just me.
Yeah,
You
good
know.
evening, Super Dave.
Hi, Super Dave. Hi, Truth Co-op. Hello, Christian P. Norris. I have a hard time reading. I need glasses, guys. Please forgive me.
We have Anonymous Religion here as well.
Hello, anonymous religion.
We've
Hello.
got a few viewers out there. But yeah, Shannon, so where do we want to start?
So, something that has been kind of bothering me And I've had this question in my mind since this whole gateway program has popped up again in my mind and in my being. Because again, in my case, I didn't realize I was actually part of the program. There are those who knew and their parents knew, but there are those who are part of that program who were not informed and thought they were a part of something else, which would be me. And so, as these things have been popping up, and I found out when this program really started to kick off in the school on a mainstream level, which was 1957 during the beginning of the Cold War. You know what else also popped up around that time was the school initiative to get your jabs for smallpox and for polio. It was such a big deal. It was very highly propagandized. They even had Elvis going on there in a school, which he was old enough. He was in the military at the time, getting his done. So that way, all the Elvis fanatics would be like, oh my God, Elvis did it. So it's cool because the parents were still a little on the fence. Like, are we really going to do this at school? The nurses were there, but it was highly propagandized. And I don't know how many of you guys remember movies and TV shows where they showed this. Like, the only way I even knew about it was many of the movies growing up in the 80s, they would, go back into the 50s in those things and they would constantly show that. And I actually had a conversation with my client today who was in school at that time, and she remembers going through it and having to be forced into it. And she asked me, like, do you guys still do that? And we're like, no, you have to go to a doctor for that, but the school still requires, and blah blah blah. But so this gateway program begins, and so does this inoculation program through the school. Both are through the school. So I was curious as to ingredients in said things, right? And I do know that this is where the height of thimerosal came into being, into things, not just this, but many other products, as we're finding out. And I'll let Roxy kind of finish on that particular thing, because she did pull up some information on that particular compound.
Well, what we can find is it is a compound that was developed in 1927 by Eli Lilly under the trade name methylate. Does anybody else remember that? Some pink stuff your grandma used to put on your knee when you skin it?
Pink stuff.
It was an antiseptic and antifungal. It prevents bacteria or fungal contamination in the jab, which is crucial for multi-dose vials used in large-scale immunization programs. So this would have been a vial that it wasn't a single dose. It was multiple doses they were going to give to people. But just in case so there wasn't cross-contamination, they had this in it. But it still got in you because it was in the liquid. It's also found in cosmetics, pharmacia.
Interesting. I don't know if any of you guys saw the Batman that came out, the movie that came out in the early 90s, Tim Burton's Batman with, Michael Keaton and all of that. Well, the Joker in that movie, right? What is one of the things he does to hurt and, disfigure people and make them really sick? He puts these compounds, these poisonous chemicals in every single product that you put in your on your face, in your mouth, in your hair, all of that. And everyone's getting sick and getting all these like lesions, and they don't know what's going on, but it's in all of the products. And it's like the things that we deal with today on a daily basis are much more upgraded, right? But they started somewhere, and this particular product by Marisol, one of the main ingredients is mercury. We
Mm-hmm.
all are aware that that is not something we're supposed to play with. But back in the day, I mean, my grandmother-in-law used to play with it in her hands like it was nothing, you know. So back in the day, the average person was not aware of what effects that this could have. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the scientific community wasn't aware of that
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. But what is something that I'd like to point and direct to, because everything has a spiritual layer to it, everything. And Mercury is the god, like the messenger god, right? Is that correct? Is that the Greek or Roman?
Which
Is
one?
Mercury? I think it's Roman.
Roman, I
Yeah.
think.
So Mercury is a messenger god. It's also a planet. Planet,
Mm-hmm.
right? A fallen one, a little g god, that kind of thing. So they name this substance after that god. But there is an element to that. If it's the messenger god, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's this metal substance. Wouldn't that be interesting if it had some kind of effect on the supernatural abilities they were trying to tap into?
Very good possibility because from some of the research I've done, I was reading some very interesting articles. There are people out there that have invented things, and you could get like 600 miles to the gallon, and all of a sudden they accidentally choke on stew beef at dinner.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things I could find was a gentleman that had taken mercury and put it in a washing machine. He had like lined it so it wouldn't go and put it on the spin cycle. The washing machine would levitate. When you take it and spin it in like a centrifuge, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes anti-gravity. There just happens to be one of those pointy objects over in the jungle down in Southern America that is just so situated over a lake of it.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Oh, very, very interesting. And in the depiction of Mercury, the god with the little g, right? He's got wings on his shoes, and it's because he's messenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Messenger has to carry or travel or fly the information. It has to be it
Delivered.
travels, it's delivered. There's something to that, and I will like to look further into that. But I think that program and it becoming so entrenched in the school curriculum, the school programs, like even now to this day, your kid cannot go to school unless they have certain things or they have by miracle an exemption that they'll take, or you just homeschool them, right?
So is
But
it required for the programming?
this is where I'm getting at. Gosh, I'm really taking my time to get there today. I'm sounding
I'm sorry,
like
that was just where my
Daniel.
brain
I'm like
flittered off to.
I'm talking like Daniel, so what do you think? What
No,
I'll
no, no.
pose a
I'm sorry. You know me,
question.
when my brain goes off, it comes out. I was putting your pieces together, Shannon. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. This is why you're my co-host.
I don't have a
Yeah,
filter.
girl, I'd ramble for days if not. So it's fine. That's good. It's good. But yes, so there is some kind of tie in with this. And especially when she had mentioned that the color was like this bright hot pink, I'm thinking to myself, with the fluoride, which was probably also within it, they probably weren't lying that there was some kind of fluoride in it. But you add in the thimerosal or that derivative from it
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of thing, what does that do? So there might be some kind of clues into what that pink drink does, what these things were doing, why the school system required you to have it in order to attend, why these programs were allowed in, because there was a time period from the 57 to 74 where it was just there. It wasn't like an official program, but it was still allowed with money under the table, if you know what I mean. But then in the 70s, they said, no, you can't do that anymore. We don't like this. And so they created an actual department for it so they could start giving funding, but legitly, somewhat, sort of, right? So they were then forced in to accept this so they can continue running their educational programs.
Leverage.
Leverage, exactly. So,
Everything's about leverage.
so the important thing to remember in all this is these things go hand in hand. They become a necessity in a program. You it's like, I thought for years, I just thought, my god, my school experience was so bizarre. Why in the world would I be reading A Brave New World in elementary school? Why do I have memories of super bizarre field trips and things that don't make sense? Why do I always remember performing like since preschool, like nonstop? I mean, all of these different weird things that I just, oh, get this. Okay, you want to story time? Are you
Give it
get your
to us.
popcorn?
They got their
Okay.
popcorn. Everybody got your desserts. I hope everybody's all snuggled up in their snuggie, because here we go. Shannon, give it to us.
So, in fourth grade, these people were allowed to come into our classroom and give us flyers to give to our parents, explaining that Procter and Gamble were evil and satanic. I think I've mentioned this story before, but the ironic part to all of this is, of course, that Procter and Gamble, which is funded by certain factions of the government, because guess what? These big corporations that own all of these products, they're not getting their money originally from just wealth. There is a reason they have control over so many products. But Procter and Gamble, I mean, they gave us a literal flyer to give to our parents saying, you don't buy these products because this company is satanic and they do horrible things. But yet, I am in the den of wolves of Satan himself in this school that's teaching us that it's okay to touch each other and do stuff as kindergartners through books, and like, drugging us with stuff and doing weird experimental 11 style things, you know? It's like the irony, irony. So, that being said, story time over. I just,
That's all good, girl. I'm putting in a Wi-Fi password for a grandkid that just come wandering in here in the office where I'm at. Here you go, buddy.
it's like, I just
Real
don't
life kicked
know
in.
how many of you have just had really weird, bizarre memories of your school years that just don't make sense. Like, you just want, you ask your friends, like, hey, did you do this? Did you have that experience? They're looking at you like you're absolutely insane. And of course, they already look at me in that way because I'm me. But, you know, it's nice to know that there are more of us, but at the same time, it's extremely disheartening. I would
See,
like to think that I was the only one at that point, but no.
my my memories of the program, there's not a lot of them. It's just kind of blank. Like I remember when I was first told I was going to be in the program, I was like excited. I thought I was a special kid. And my best friend, who's like my sister, was going with me. And so, you know what I mean? It was like we got to go together. I remember getting there in the morning. I remember drinking my whatever. And I remember sitting down putting headphones on. And to be honest with you, I don't remember anything else. I don't remember. I know where we were supposed to be, what building, because we actually had to leave our school and get on a bus and go to another building. But it was the building. There was only a couple of other classes in it. It was like an old admin building. The only other students in there were the nonverbal autistics. They were on the other side of the building. There was a room with us in it, but our windows were blacked out. It was like we were in I don't know, in school suspension or something. But I don't know. I don't remember even wondering why we didn't have windows or why they were covered. I only remember like 2 days out of a couple of years, other than the panic attacks I would have afterwards for some reason.
Well, see,
Maybe I don't want to remember.
there's a lot of it that I don't remember either. There's a lot of fog, a lot of things that, and again, I've talked about this false memory syndrome. It's one thing we know that we've lost memory, we've dissociated and compartmentalized our trauma. That is a safety mechanism that's ingrained in our being. It's nature taking its course. It's a natural process that they use and abuse to manipulate. But the other hand is literally creating a false memory. And it's like when you're talking about it and you're recalling the memory and you're saying it, it's like you're already feeling like it's a lie. Like you don't understand why you feel that way, why it doesn't seem right when you recall this memory and you're speaking out loud. And sometimes it just seems almost ridiculous in what the real truth would be. And I often wonder how many of those memories that I have growing up, how many of them are real and how many of them aren't. And I've been trying to recall them and speaking them out loud a lot more often so I can get the feeling and feel, is this right? Is this something that I feel that isn't right and I'm still spouting it out from my memory? And that's kind of giving me a little bit more idea of maybe that's not really what happened. And as we've
Well,
mentioned before too with movies and triggers, there are times where memories will come back from trigger moments in movies, and that's not how you remembered it before. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, you're good. Prior to the show, guys, we were talking about the possibility of. All right, we've talked about Mall World, how we're all maybe that was a training ground. Maybe that was where they broke us into being able to use whatever telepathic, whatever power we might have. That's what they had us to construct in our subconscious for it. So who's to say where else we might have been and they had the ability to, just quieten it down. So when I looked into where that technology might have come from, if they could possibly view other times, whether it be behind us or in front of us or beside us as far as timeline wise, it goes back to Tesla. He's the first one that said he had built a machine, and we know when he is deceased that the orange man's uncle was in a 3-letter agency and obtained said documents to vet for any good tech. And he said, no, nothing to see here. This is what the records say. But then in the 70s, on that little website I showed you earlier where you can get documents, I can see in like the 60s or 70s where they're testing this thing, which seems to be based off of some of that tech that other man had that is no longer with us. Um, they had it operational and had sent 20 plus soldiers through it who were, of varying ages. When they say they sent that person through to try to move them forward or back, when they would come back, they would be extremely aged and their mind would be scrambled. Well, they had managed to cause the end of 26 of them. The 27th one that went through was much, much younger than the others. And when he come back, he didn't appear to have aged as rapidly, and his brain was not quite as scrambled as the others. And then they started figuring out that the younger they were, the more likelihood they had of success, because a young child's mind, your mind and my mind, is fixed in the reality of what we know is possible right now. So if you told us that we could do that without any knowledge of this beforehand, to do it would literally blow our mind. But if you take a child whose mind is not set and they do this, it's not as alarming and shocking to them because their mind is more malleable by it. And I think that leads into gifted and talented on a mass basis.
Well, too, it had kind of brought that up. I mentioned in my testimony that I started the channel off with. I During the process of the 3 weeks, I was having all the visions and all the things. I had several experiences where I would go back to being in this machine that I know I had been in when I was young, when I was little, that was at Norton Air Force Base in one of the hangars, and it had metal concentric circles that would spin really, really fast. Like you could, until it spun so fast you couldn't tell, you could still see through the slats as it was speeding up the hangar door and people in lab coats and also people in fatigues coming in and out of the room. There's a violet heliotrope bright light that's like a spotlight in the center of this thing, and you sit and you meditate in the center of this as the circles are going up, and you levitate. And in my experience, I was actually conversing and having conversation with another being that was not human. I'd like to know, of course, if anyone else has any kind of experience like this, because I kind of feel like a loner. I've mentioned this a few times and I still haven't gotten any feedback of anyone having a memory like this. But we were looking through, the documents ahead of time, and she had mentioned that. And she also showed me some other things related to that grok thing you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and this concentric circle thing, and
Would you like me to
the
see if I
time
can find those again,
travel.
ma'am?
Yeah, that'd be cool. So in other words, it's like all the things that Daniel has talked about with the torus field and all of these things interconnect, and you're apparently, as a child, I was able to astrally project in a way that they needed, because they asked me to bring back that information, so they couldn't get access to it. They needed me to do that, which again never made sense. None of this ever made sense until this conversation we had before the show. You learn something new every day.
All right, let's see.
I'm trying to see if anybody has mentioned that.
All right, this is somebody that I follow on X. His name is Canary in the Coal Mine. He has some very, very interesting items on his X page, and he has given me explicit permission to redistribute or show anything he has. So I will upsize this and I'll play it. But as you can see, the concentric circle. Can y'all see the screen good, Shannon?
Yeah, we lost your audio for a second, but you're back. Yep. So in the center of that, there is like no gravity. just so you know.
That would be the absolute plane of inertia.
Yes.
It's also what they show in the movie Contact.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the trophy sitting on Orange Man's desk for a soccer world championship we showed on one of our earlier shows.
You know, funny enough, right? At Norton Air Force Base here in San Bernardino, before it was shut down, it was quite a prevalent Air Force base. They housed the Roswell crash vehicle for quite some time in secret in one of the hangars. And the Redlands Daily Facts actually did an article about it in the early 2000s, like admitting that it was there, and also admitting that they had one of the first underground bases and tunnels dug up and created under that base, which one of my old coworkers actually had been in when she was a little girl with her father. So I know that exists too.
Mm.
And now it's shut down, but the UN actually took it over as an international airport. Right? They used to have all the UN flags plastered everywhere. They don't so much anymore. I wonder why. Why. You know, there's also like right, and there's also the Stater Brothers grocery distribution center right on the property, and an interesting space and rocket research facility on that property. It's just, just saying.
Just a few things conveniently located next to each other.
Conveniently.
Yeah, there are no coincidences. No, doesn't exist. I don't even believe in two-timers. It doesn't. Things don't happen that way. It's not the way this world works. I was looking at the comments down here. Got Mike. Mike joined us earlier. We got Jared and Lance. We got a few others in here.
What is the message? What is ribonucleic acid?
Where are you?
There are my chemists out there. Lance Ripa. There's a book called The Indoctrinated. Here, I can put it up on the screen because I'm cool like that.
She knows how to work buttons, guys. We had a tutorial pre-show. I'm so proud
Okay.
of you, little tech gremlin.
Oh God. Okay. Excuse me. There is a book called The Indoctrinated Brain by Michael Nels, MD, PhD, who goes deep into the true effects and intent of messenger ribonucleic acid. I can't read. Okay.
Is
Sorry
the
about that.
RNA portion.
RNA portion.
There's another letter that comes before it.
Right. I saw
Yeah.
those comments earlier, Lance. Yep, yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Yep,
Lance
yep,
is on it.
yep.
Yeah, there's
You,
a lot of stuff they put in that I don't want no part of.
too, how we're talking a little bit about the eugenics textbook that I have
Mm-hmm.
on your show. Well, it's called Twilight Sleep. Like there's a whole entire section of twilight sleep, and it's like their hypnotization process in a sleep state that we were talking about. Like the whole part of like it's on the title of it. And so I'm like, what? And so I need to what I need to do is upload the pages so we can share them and read them on the show at some point. But hypnotization, all of those things, the more traumatized you are growing up, the more intelligent you are, which tends to go hand in hand, by the way.
That's a little
You know,
scary for me.
isn't that? I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Especially the way my brain works.
Right?
Hello,
No,
Timber Traveler.
I just kind of lost train of thought too, but
Sorry.
I think no, it's okay. I
The more
think you guys
traumatized,
right,
the higher the intellectual
and the higher
tends to
than
be.
so considering a lot of those of us who were in these programs obviously fit that profile. It's important that first of all, God never gives you anything you cannot handle. This is not me telling you to go on a search for the lost memories or, finding out what's gone on with you to cause you to be eligible for these programs. But what I am saying is, as God is showing you these things in his graceful way that he does, take the time to process. Because this whole time, the biggest part of the program is to dissociate you from that processing. So it can be put into your consciousness, you can process it, and you can heal, and you can understand more through the grace of God, through God's word, asking God to be with you, holding your hand at every moment. Because these are the things that fuel those thoughts and the auto actions, the autopilot actions that we do every day that we don't even realize. The more and more we put those pieces together from our brain, the better we can function, and the more we know they cannot manipulate us anymore. Because I don't know about you, but I am pretty upset knowing that as a child, in my most vulnerable, most pure, innocent state, that this faction that we're supposed to have trust in and help us to get along in life had just deeply wounded and messed with all of us children. That is the thing that I fight for in my everyday, is to protect the children, because we were all there once. We all are dealing with problems as adults that stem from these things. And if we cannot reconnect those and start to process and heal, there's ways that doors get open for the demonic to come and mess with you again. So this is why I say, you know, to be in prayer first, get your armor on, but ask the Lord to help you process all of these things so we can be stronger in the Lord, stronger to handle whatever propaganda flies our way, to help us discern all the just incoming rabbit holes, because man, it's just one after another after another. And when you think you got a handle on it, it's like, nope, here's something new. Just so
Well,
you
see,
know.
I've heard many times to become, I guess you'd say, awakened or ascension or whatever you want to call it, that you have to approach it with the curiosity of a child. And I think that's got to do with how we just cannot let the rabbit holes go. I mean, it's like we need to tunnel the whole world. I need
Right.
to know it all. I need to read it all, intake it all, process
And
it all.
and it's important. That's important for us to
Yeah,
do.
we're driven. I mean, it's you. You wake up, and this is what you think about. Like,
Right.
oh my
Nonstop.
gosh, you're like piece 1 matched piece 8, and you're like, bam, I got a match. And then it's like, hot diggy, I got a new Jenga piece on my board.
Oh
And
my
you're
gosh.
and you start connecting all the dots, and you realize how interconnected it all
Oh,
is.
it is.
And when it started, and when they ramp it up, and it's like, then you start seeing that we really are the goyim. You can't
Well,
help but feel that way.
to them, to
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
not to God.
No,
And
not to God.
that
But that's
is,
how they observe us, as
yeah,
far as how much.
we're not even human to them
No, they don't even care about us. We're the
no,
dirt on the bottom of a shoe. We're just lab rats.
because they're demonically fueled. It's again those spirits and principalities that we fight against. And the ultimate end game is our soul. We all know this. Our soul. Our soul must be so valuable and important to God that they would go so far and so long and so hard to steal it away from him. And I'll tell you this, you cannot sell something that does not belong to you.
No.
Our soul belongs to God. God created this soul, not the enemy. So they have no right to it. And you all just remember that. So get your armor on every day, you know,
Every day.
get
Wake up. Every day.
every day, which I know you guys know. I know you guys know this, but it's just important to say out loud. And I also want to speak out to any parent out there who's going through a hard time like I am of just knowing your kids probably went through these programs and the cycle had continued, and what to do now, especially as kids make up their own minds and don't listen. And it's a very difficult thing, and you're ingrained to think that you're supposed to put your kids through these programs, and that's the right thing to do as a parent, and you're not a good parent if you don't agree with it. But i'll I'll tell you this, you are a good parent for not agreeing with it. You are a good parent for questioning, and you are a good parent for listening to your kid and knowing that they're uncomfortable or they're not feeling something is right in school. Those kids who don't do well academically, who don't like going to school, who find every excuse in the book to not be there, they've been trying to tell you something. Those
Yep.
are things I did. I
Yep.
never, I would fake sick all the time to get out
I
of
just
school.
I got to the point when I was going through all the programs. I got to the point, I'm a straight A debate team. I'm on everything. And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden something clicked, and I could care less. I wouldn't do
Yeah.
homework. I wouldn't show up in class. I just lost all motivation.
Mhm.
because it was like there was no challenge to me anymore, and I was unincorporated in whatever they were doing. I didn't care.
Well, and I know I felt extremely isolated. I always felt I never fit in with anybody. I was always so weird and different. I mean, I went through a period of time where I tried so hard to fit in, and it just backfired horrifically. And it's like, you know what? You're just not meant for this system. And we all found our ways to rebel against it. And that's why we all knew deep down inside something's not right. And anyways, I just wanted to tell all of you parents out there, and even if you did follow suit with, like we all did, like we all had to do it. I mean, we were threatened to be arrested for truancy stuff many occasions, contracts and blah blah blah, just because I didn't want to force them to go to this institution. It's
All right.
just,
Well,
yeah,
I want to
you're all
show
good.
it. I want to show everybody something. You're talking about isolated, and we had a few viewers who were talking about how they feel a little isolated. So, this is one of the ways you guys can stay connected between shows with each other and with us or whatever. This is Shannon's YouTube page for Children of the Most High. If you click on her YouTube page and you come here, you will see this thing that says post. You can go here and you can post to us, we can post to you. There's all kind of things on here. There's one on her channel, there's one on my channel. It's a community. Up here, you can click on create a post. Oh, sorry, that took us to my channel. But I guess I can only create a post on mine. I got to post down here on yours. But if Shannon posts something, you can come down here and comment on it. You can all get involved in it. She can post a header up there. Um, Maybe we'll start posting on each one of our channels, like, what your current rabbit hole is. Just so, and I mean, make a community out of it, guys, because I know a lot of us are isolated and we stay down a rabbit hole somewhere. So reach out, and we need to make this a community of support for each other because we're all going through this. We're all going through the obsessive rabbit hole exploration because you just can't believe how much you've been lied to. And it's like you need to know it all and you need to know it yesterday.
Right. And I just want to kind of do a prelude to the recording that we're going to do. We're going to pre-record this show, so just so you know, the comments will of course be available to you, but we won't be able to interact because it is a very controversial subject matter, first of all, in the Christian community. I'm just going to say that. But two, it's important that we just get information out, and it has to do with healing on a sexual way, with trauma that's been put on to us as children. Those who grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, how the progression has gone in the entertainment industry and over sexualizing children and all of those things. But I know for a fact that so many of us have had troubles in our relationships and having some kind of a normal connection to something that is God given for reproduction and oneness with your husband or wife. And it's been so perverted. It's been so misshapen in our minds through so many different avenues. There are those of us who have had it really hard in that department, and others maybe not so much, but you're still traumatized through media or through other relationships because someone else that you loved was going through that trauma and you couldn't relate. So it's a very important video that we're going to be making here soon. And for anybody who struggles in that department, we will dive deep a little bit. It may get uncomfortable, but it's something that we got to talk about and start to heal with, so we can have the God-given relationships with our spouse and the people we love in a healthy way, in the way God constructed it. So I just wanted to give you guys a little information of what's to come. I don't know when we're going to post that. It's going to take a little bit of time to do, but I just wanted you guys to look forward to that for those of you who need that kind of healing talk and who are ready to delve into that subject matter.
Well, we are a community of like minded people. Nobody here is here to shame or harm
Right.
or belittle or trigger anybody. We're here for conversations. The more conversations you have, the less confrontation you will have, because nothing is learned from confrontation. Lessons and other people's experience come from listening to conversation from them. So we all try to come open minded, and none of us know everything.
No.
But I might have 20 of the pieces, and you might have 20 of the
Right.
pieces. But together, all of us, we can put the whole puzzle together.
And this is for both men and women, because this is something that's very taboo to speak about, but men go through more abuse than people realize. They have a much harder time communicating about it, coming to terms with it, and healing from it. And this is an encouragement to everyone who needs that conversation and that healing. So that's it's not alive. It's going to be pre-recorded for those who need it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. But anyways, that being said, I know we've been on here for a little while, and I really appreciate all of you guys coming on here. And I know you all share this because you're here. You've all had an experience in this in some way, shape, or form. And all of us coming together and having this conversation is great, because I know, as I mentioned earlier, feeling isolated, feeling alone, we're not alone. And it's nice to know that we can actually talk and be open, and people will hear you and believe you, because it's sometimes so far-fetched for people to grasp, even though they'll watch a movie and be like, yeah, whatever, we're going to go to space and teleport and do all these things. But you tell them, like, hey, this, like, we were in government programs in school, they're looking at you like you're nuts. And it's like, no, there are many of us who share this experience. I swear, we're not crazy. I mean, there are people out there who still have their worksheets from these classes. So tell me it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you see some of these things that they did in class, and you're like, "Yep, now I remember that." And you're like, "Yeah, we were breaking German code in third grade."
Right. And I know not everyone's ready to hear that they and take in that they were part of this kind of a situation. But the more and more of us like at least come to terms with it, it's just the healing, guys. Then we get to let Jesus come in and heal that. And
And that's
that's
kind
kind
of
of the
where,
most important thing.
yeah, we're starting at the beginning of like how these things came about to be, to manipulate, and um then we can move into what it was and what we remember and what happened, and work through it together, because we all love one another. That's what we're supposed to be here anyway. So I know Shannon's going to take us out of here, but good night, everybody. Love you. Thank you for coming.
Just so you guys know, my purpose of starting this channel, which I wrestled with quite a bit, was to have an open forum for these kinds of conversations, for healing and connecting and letting people know that you're not alone, because we're all children of the Most High who are in this world full of darkness, and we're supposed to shine our light. We're supposed to shine the light of God into that darkness. And so don't be discouraged. And I know that, like I said, I get emotional and hurt over knowing these things happen to us as children, but everything happens for a reason. God has a plan, and it has strengthened us to be able to handle what's to come and to share with others how to handle what's to come, but also to heal from the darkness that had been just surrounding us for so long. So I love you guys. I hope you give a shout out to Jesus tonight. Say I love you, say, hey, what's up? How you doing? And, check out all of our channels here on the Supernatural Network. We got Roxy with the Roxy Files. We got Daniel Alexander Cannon and Logic Before Authority. We got the Supernatural Show, which is all three of us. There's Super Dave 44. And also don't forget that Miss Kim has My Southern Life. And, when we were talking about recipes and things to know, she has a lot of great recipes and shares a lot of things about nature and, what's going on around gardening. And it's a great channel. So check her out too. And, don't forget to check me out with, Children of the Most High, where we all belong. We all belong.
We all belong.
I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's
Sheena's
okay.
over there commanding something with them hands she's got.
I'm Italian, guys. It's a problem. We talk with our hands. It's like most of our languages.
I guarantee you're mute with them things tied behind you.
Me and my son will literally be like to each other, and we're like, yeah, I understood that.
Me and my daughter, we just look at each other. We can read each other's mind, and she'll just shake her head. Good night, guys.
Good
See you
night.
Friday.